Hello, disabled people. I just wanted to say, cheer up. This is your Prime Minister speaking. And action.
Hi, my name is Ellen Clifford, and I'm going to be chairing this evening's opening rally for Disabled People Against Cuts, Audio Riot Week of Action. It was going to be the wonderful Mandy Colleran chairing this evening, and sadly Mandy isn't well enough to be with us this evening, and we send her all our best. Mandy's an experienced chair who brings humour, political insight, competency and good timing to the role of chair, but we've ended up with me, so we're going to do our best. The only thing is I'm going to have to make sure we stick to time and end at 8:30 for our interpreter and our captioner. Luckily, we've got some awesome activists and sensational characters for you to start off our week of action, to beat the disillusionment and despair, and to remember our commitment to the struggle and how amazing and powerful we are when we all come together. So to start with, just some housekeeping. This event is being live streamed on DPAC's YouTube, Twitter and Facebook. And for anyone who needs speech to text, the link for that is www.streamtext.net/player?event equals GRT DPAC 240921. We will have some video messages to share tonight, but we won't show those as we don't currently have a way to show videos without losing the interpreter. What we'll do is we'll play the sound with the live captions and BSL, and then the videos themselves will be shared on social media later. So the Audio Riot Week of Action is focused on immediate demands to cancel the planned cut to universal credit that's due to come in on the 30th of September next week, and to apply that £20 uplift to legacy benefits. 3/4 of the more than 2.2 million benefit claimants still on legacy benefits are disabled people, many of whom saw dramatic increases in their unavoidable costs due to the pandemic and the need to shield. So, for example, increased energy costs, the cost of food deliveries, the need to purchase essential PPE. When Sheffield DPAC, and I'm a JSA claimant, collected people's testimonies about how the lack of uplift had affected them earlier this year, it was really heartbreaking, the stories about people who can't afford to do laundry in their houses, who can't afford to bathe regularly, can't afford incontinence pads, heating or food. Yet when billionaire Rishi Sunak was interviewed by Martin Lewis for ITV's Money Show, he said the uplift was for working people. In other words, not for disabled people. In his spring budget, he awarded a back payment of £500 to those on working tax credits who'd missed out on the uplift, but nothing for those on disability out of work benefits. So disabled claimants courageously issued a legal challenge against the Department for Work and Pensions. And that was due to be heard this week. And that's why we chose this week for our week of action. But that's now been delayed. We just heard today the new date will be sometime in November, and we send solidarity to the claimants in the case whose stress and anxiety is now prolonged. But we will be going ahead with our week of action regardless, because our demands need to be heard. And we need to get back on the streets to make ourselves visible and loud again. The Tories are clearly nervous of the cut, with 6 former secretaries of state for work and pensions having written to their own government opposing this cut, and with Ian Duncan Smith and Damien Green on Monday of this week making a failed last-ditch attempt to stop it. Instead, in the news today, the government are offering a reduced taper rate for universal credit. So they're saying instead of the 63p they claw back for every pound, universal credit claimants will only now have 60p taken away from them. And we say that's just simply not good enough, especially from a government of the rich who profited while leaving us to die during the pandemic. So we hope you're all going to support our week of action. We've got DPAC's own Paula Peters here to tell us about what's planned and how to get involved. There are messages of support from people who couldn't be with us this evening, and there are some colourful characters who will be joining us along the way. Our fight isn't just to win these immediate demands. We're very aware that what we need is a fundamental overhaul of the entire social security system. And we'll be hearing from speakers from the Commission on Social Security and from the New Economics Foundation's Living Income Coalition to tell us about their work and how to get involved. We know that real improvements in the lives of the working class and rights for disabled people aren't achieved by asking, you have to fight for them. And to end this evening, we'll hear about some campaigns and actions by DPAC allies and how we can support those. The main hashtags for tonight are hashtag Audio Riot, that's the main one. But then we've also got quite a few others that are in use because there's so many different campaigns that have sprung up about this issue that affects so many people. So we've also got hashtag 20 more for all, hashtag cancel the cut, hashtag stop and scrap universal credit, and hashtag increase disability benefits. Those are all linked to our demands. So without further ado, we're going to have our first message of support, and that is from Marsha de Cordova. Marsha's a disabled activist, Labour MP for Battersea, and until recently, she was Shadow Women's and Equalities Minister. Marsha resigned from her front bench position last week, but that doesn't mean that she will stop fighting inequality and disableism. She sends us solidarity, and we send her solidarity back.
The pandemic has had a devastating impact on disabled people. The past 18 months we have been treated as an afterthought, a continuation of the hostile environment that this Tory government has created. When you see the disproportionate death rates and also the fact that this government applied the £20 uplift to universal credit but chose not to extend that to individuals that are on legacy social security support such as employment and support allowance, meaning that nearly 2 million people missed out on that vital support. That support during one of the worst health pandemics in our living memory, in our lifetime. This Tory government made that political choice not to extend support to disabled people. They have been waging war against us for more than 10 years, and we have been fighting back. And we mustn't retreat now. We must continue and take the fight to the Tories, whether it's against their cruel and inhumane assessment frameworks for ESA and PIP, or their hostile sanctions regime. This government feel that we are weak and we do not have a voice, but we do have a voice because disabled people have been taking the DWP to court and through the tribunal services for years now. And we have been successful in many cases, but it doesn't have to be this way, and we shouldn't have to keep fighting for our rights. And that is why I'm sending my support and solidarity to those that are taking their legal challenge against this Tory government. We are with you. I know how difficult it must be. I know how challenging it must be. And I know there must be many anxieties, especially with the case being delayed. But understand this, there are thousands of us standing with you. We are shoulder to shoulder. I know there must be many anxieties, especially with the case being delayed. But understand this, there are thousands of us standing with you. We are shoulder to shoulder, standing with you in full support and in full solidarity.
Apologies for the slight glitch there, but I think that was very powerful from Marsha, and she's neatly outlined the issues we're campaigning against there. We're now going to hear from DPAC's Andy Green, telling us why, in response to those issues, we're going to be audio rioting. Over to you, Andy.
Thank you, Ellen, and thank you for everybody for giving up their time to take part and join us this evening. I think it's really important that we understand what's going on and what it is that we are up against, because it's a significant period at this moment, and it's really important that we resist universal credit cuts. Universal credit is a tool that was brought in by the Tory government quite a long time ago. It's been in their mind for even longer, but this is a tool which was driven through because the closest tool that I can describe it as really is a scalpel that is designed to dissect and take apart the welfare state. Since its inception, almost a decade ago, what we have seen is that they have driven it through despite the fact that it overran by years, overspent by millions, that there was failed leader after failed leader of this project, that at one hand, they were doing universal credit claims almost by candlelight, by hand, to try and push this through, because it's a really important policy to them, because it has a very specific function, and that function is not just to dismantle the welfare state in a practical way, but it's also to destroy the morale and the desire of people to have a welfare state in the first place. It's designed to dehumanize people. It's designed to push you through a grinder of emotional trauma and experience, and at the other end of it, you somehow come out with less money than you did in the beginning. And what we're seeing now, come the end of this month, very soon, over the next few weeks, is that the barest of essentials which have gone into this benefit is again being slowly stripped away. And it's not just this cut, but there are potentially down the line, they're looking to merge this benefit with PIP. Again, another attack on welfare state, but also another pushback against those who are looking to engage with and to access their right to state support. We disabled people have come out and blunted these tools time after time. We have a strong and long history, whether it is completely blunting the ATOS work capability assessments, whether it is taking on the plan to close the independent living fund, whether it was resisting the Remploy factories. We have made sure that we have been on the streets, making these spaces, making our voices heard. And that's why it's really, really important that over this week of action, whether it's local actions tomorrow, whether it's the national action next week, whether it's online, whether it's joining Manchester DPAC up at the Tory conference, whatever you can do to contribute as an individual, as part of your organizations and your campaign networks, make some noise, get out on the streets, get online, create a racket, because this isn't the end of it. This isn't the beginning. This is just the latest struggle, but it's vitally important that going forward, we are making sure that what we are doing is making our voices heard every single time, and every time these attacks come, and we know what we're about, and it's time for us to get back in the streets again.
Thank you, Andy. It really is time. I've now got a message of solidarity to read out from Phil Wayland, who is one of the claimants in the court case against the DWP. That's a photo of Phil there. He says, "Hello, everyone. I hope life is treating you all well. You'll probably know by now the judicial review against the government's decision to deny those of us on legacy benefits the increase of £20 has been postponed due to a lack of available judges. The court hasn't given us much information as to rescheduling. Obviously, this is very disappointing and prolongs the discrimination. More broadly, I'd encourage everyone to keep your heads up, keep the fight against the government's abhorrent policies in any way you can, and hopefully all our collective actions can bring about the fairer society we deserve. Lastly, I'd like to thank everyone for your support. It's been truly overwhelming, and I hope I can repay you all with a positive judgment against the government." Well, I'd say to Phil that you don't need to repay us, and that we're all very grateful that you and other claimants are taking this action on our behalves. Our next message of support is from Jeremy Corbyn.
Greetings to disabled people against the cuts. You were founded in order to stand up for disabled people who are being so badly treated during the period of austerity from 2010 onwards. Sadly, that still continues. And whilst the government did rather reluctantly raise universal credit by £20 per week, they didn't extend that to those with disability benefits. Therefore, there's this legal challenge being mounted in the High Court. Well done, DPAC. Well done, those people mounting this challenge. You have my full support in that. We need justice in our society. That means justice for people with disabilities.
Great. You've got to love Jeremy. 10 years we've existed and he still gives us and he still gives us disabilities. But seriously, all respect to Jezza. So now we're going to hear from Paula, who's going to start with a message of support from Ken Loach, and then she's going to tell us the different things we've got coming up over the next week and how you can get involved.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us for our online rally this evening. My name is Paula Peters. I'm going to read out a message from DPAC's friend and film director, Ken Loach. Dear friends, I'm sorry not to be with you on September the 28th. Please make a lot more noise for me. Let's hope Rishi Sunak hears you, but don't hold your breath. I understand he only listens to people with money, and even if he heard you, I doubt he would understand. The DWP are specialists at dirty tricks, making people wait when they have nothing, putting obstacles in their way, using hunger as a weapon. You know better than anyone the pain, suffering, and deaths they have caused. We also face a political battle. The expulsions in the Labour Party by Starmer show that he will ditch Jeremy and John's transformative programme that would have begun to give everyone lives of dignity and financial security. The danger is we all walk away from politics in disgust. We need to stick together, all of us, all the campaigns, the community groups, good people inside and outside the Labour Party, in unions and supporters everywhere. We need an independent Labour movement to give us a united, strong voice. If you win this case, we will win. Best wishes, solidarity, and to hell with the Tories and the Labour witch hunts. All the best, Ken. Now it's time for me to say to you what we're going to be doing over the next week. So thank you for joining us to begin our week of action for the online rally today. Tomorrow, on Saturday, the 25th, we have our National Day of Local Actions. So please support the local actions that are taking place tomorrow. A big shout out to my branch, Bromley and Croydon Unite Community Branch. We will be having a street action at near East Croydon Station. So please join us 11:30 to 1:30 p.m. tomorrow. In Oxford, a big shout out to Unite Community Branch, Berkshire, Oxford and Buckinghamshire, who will be having an action at 2 p.m. at Bond Square in Oxford. And a big shout out on Monday, the 27th of September, to Edinburgh Coalition Against Poverty, who will be joined by DPAC Glasgow in an action outside Edinburgh Job Centre. Please use all the hashtags, hashtag 20 more for all, hashtag cancel the cut, hashtag stop and scrap universal credit, increase disability benefits, hashtag universal credit. Now, over the last few days, Ellen has been sending out posters and stickers that you can use at home. If you want some stickers to put up in your local area, please email DPAC mail@dpac.uk.net and they can be sent to you. Please take part in line and then pop up in person below. We've got a Twitter storm on Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Please start using the hashtag Audio Riot. At 11:30 at King's Cross, we're going to be meeting at King's Cross Courtyard. Please join our action on the street. Bring drums, whistles, anything that makes a load of noise. If you can't make our action, join in at home, bang a pot, make some noise and let the neighbours hear you about what you're feeling. And if you're at Brighton for the Labour Party conference, there's going to be a solidarity vigil from 11 a.m. to 12 noon. This is part of the World Transformed programme, and there will be a vigil at the Old Stein at Brighton, BM1. There will be speakers, Ellen Morrison, the disabled people's rep for the Labour National Executive Committee, Jennifer Jones from Sheffield DPAC, Dave Allen from the TUC Disabled Workers Committee and Unite the Union, and Cathy Boyle from Disability Labour, and more besides. So if you're at the Labour conference, spread the word and join in on Tuesday morning. Now, as said, the Audio Riot protest is at 11:30. We need you to use the hashtag Audio Riot. Then any hashtag 20 more for all, cancel the cut, stop and scrap universal credit. The King's Cross action will be live streamed. Please support us on the day. Then on Thursday, the 30th of September, the day the cut then is due to begin to be implemented, we are having a protest opposite number 10 at 5:30 p.m. Speakers include myself, Hector Wesley from Black Activists Rising Against the Cuts, RNT's Steve Headley, Drazer Neal from the Green Party, from Disability Group, Austin Heaney from TUC Disabled Workers Committee and PCS and more. Please join in and support when you see the hashtags Stop and Scrap Universal Credit, Cancel the Cut, 20 more for all. But it's important then, as we go into the Tory party conference, to support Manchester DPAC's brilliant initiative, the Disability Justice on Screen. On Monday, the 4th of October, as part of the People's Assembly week of events against the Tories unwelcome in Manchester, Manchester DPAC will be hosting a mobile video screen that will be going around the streets of Manchester called Disability Justice on Screen. You can upload a video to Manchester DPAC, manchesterdpac@gmail.com. Send a 1-minute video about how the pandemic and austerity have impacted upon you, and it will be shown on the mobile big screen in Manchester. But also, if you're going to Manchester, support DPAC, who are going to be joining the United Against the Tories march in Manchester, which begins at 12 noon. There's an accessible march beginning at 1 o'clock, but join the rally at 2 o'clock, when our own Sheffield DPAC's Jennifer Jones will be speaking. So join in however you can, online, on the street, but let's make the noise and let's tell this government we will not be silenced. Solidarity.
Thanks, Paula. Brilliant. Paula mentioned posters and stickers. So here they are. Paula gave the address. It's mail@dpac.net. So if you contact us, we'll be able to post you some out. There's still time to organise things in your local area. Okay, now I am very pleased to be inviting to our screens Rita Resistance, who some of you follow DPAC may have seen before, and she's going to be interviewing Boris Piffle-Johnson to talk about the amazing films that DPAC Norfolk have created to be shared on social media, and those can be found on YouTube, on I'm Speechless channel, and we'll send out links for that over the next few days. Over to you, Rita and Piffle.
No, Dave, don't run it under the tap. It will erode the rubber. Oh, hello, Prime Minister. Oh, I can't contain myself.
Well, I'm not at all surprised, Rita. People often find me a little bit overwhelming at first, but it is me, Boris Piffle-Johnson, your Prime Minister.
No.
And here I am trying not to let you get a word in edgeways. Well done, Prime Minister. Thank you.
Oh, no, Mr. Johnson. I was not referring to yourself. It's this dress. It's 2 sizes too small. But such a fan. Literally, such a fan. Anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us this evening. The country is in economic crisis, Prime Minister. We're short on lorry drivers, petrol for the lorries, and so much more besides. Shouldn't you be on holiday at the moment? That's what you usually do in a crisis, or are the travel agents still not talking to you?
I say you're looking absolutely gorgeous tonight, Rita. And if you were ever to go blonde, you know what I mean? Nudge, pop down to Drowning Street, and I'm sure you'll have a chat about it all. Now, look, there are people, disabled people, and I just wanted to say you need to cheer up. Cheer up, disabled people. Get well soon and get back to work, because that's the best way to get out of poverty. Save £20 for me and Rishi, and all will be well.
Quite, Mr. Prime Minister. And by the way, great news. The 1,000 richest people in the country reported billions of pounds in record profits in the year 2020. Don't you think it would be a good idea to tax them a little bit more? Or have you got some other ideas that you think will bail the country out?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that, Rita, because I'm sure you know, I've just been in the United Nations speaking to the whole world on behalf of global Britain and putting the case forward. In fact, I took Liz Truss with me. You might know Liz, cheese. She's mad about cheese, that woman. And I did a Joe. I spoke to Uncle Joe, not Uncle Sam, and we did a deal for Britain. So I've managed to swap Liz Truss for this lovely flag, which I think is rather good. A few more trade deals like that, and Britain will be out of trouble. You paupers will have plenty of money trickling down, and we'll all be thumbs up for Boris.
Quite. And that flag does look a little bit familiar, doesn't it? Perhaps if it was in some form of dress. By the way, I wore red today. I heard it was your least favourite colour, and I do hope that you appreciate that. Now, I've got a question for you, Mr. Johnson, and this has a 3-part answer. So please do listen one moment and humour me. Now, the question is this. When you're deciding on which minority group to persecute next, how do you and the cabinet take such an important decision? Do you A, play spin the bottle, B, a rousing game of beer pong, or C, giant Jenga in number 10's garden? Very droll, Rita, if I can say that to you. Thank you.
I've decided to come on here tonight, cheer up disabled people against the cuts, and help you with a little bit of rebranding. I've been looking at your logo. It's really a bit dull. It's basically a steering wheel with a triangle in the middle and 4 hands. I mean, who has 4 hands? If you've got hands, 4 of them, you should be typing or working or at the Paralympics. Throw for Britain. I decided that wasn't good enough. I've spoken to your team, they've spoken to my team, and this will be much more successful. Here I've got me in the centre, Boris, and it says disabled people love cats. Now that'll get you a lot more pity, a lot more attention, and I think disabled people need that. That'll make you feel good and you can get back to work. Well done.
Boris, we've all seen the clips of you playing rugby and other kinds of sports with school children. Now, when you barged that small child into the ground some years ago, was that actually a metaphor for how you intended to shatter the hopes and dreams of working class youths?
Well, 20 more for Boris, 20 more for Rishi. Keep it coming. Of course, I was disabled myself once. I had COVID 15 times. I mean, nobody cares about that anymore. I just think we should pull our stocks up collectively and together this country. We will fight them at the petrol pumps. We will fight them. Judge shortage? There's no shortage of judges. Who's talking this nonsense? We'll make more judges. I promise you this government has made more judges than anybody else has ever judged. Vote Boris.
Mr. Prime Minister, can you lift up a bottle of milk and carry it from one side of the room to the other? A yes or no will do.
I haven't seen a bottle of milk since
Can you bend at the
1973.
knees? Can you bend at the knees and hold a squat position?
I think my
10 seconds,
personal life
okay.
is really my own affair, young lady. Mink?
Can you find the way to your local supermarket and back again without aid?
Rita and Piffle, 1 minute warning.
Well, bless you. I've been to a supermarket. I've opened a few. Oh, no.
I must rush you. The thing is,
thanks,
Prime
sorry.
Minister, the thing is, if you are able to do all of these things, then why are you making such a rotten shit show of running the country?
Oh, Oh, hang on a moment.
According to your own parameters, you
Laura
should be fit for work.
I'm so sorry, Rita. I've got Laura Koonsberg on the line.
One final question. The final question is this. How do you sleep at night?
Thank you very much, Biffle and Rita. That was fantastic. Please, everyone, do look for the videos from Norfolk DPAC online and share those. There is also a 50-minute special with Paula Peters and David Kirkham from Sheffield DPAC doing PMQs with Biffle, which is something to watch, I can tell you. But now we're going to start looking at the bigger picture. We're going to start looking at the fundamental level of change that we need to the social security system. So I'm really pleased to now introduce Latoya Grant, who is on the Experts by Experience Commission on Social Security. Over to you, Latoya.
Hello, my name is Latoya Grant and I'm on the Commission of Experience for Social Security, and that's funded by Trust for London. The aim is to develop policies to improve the benefit system and to look at how we can do that, which is a really hard ask. At the moment, there's lots of problems with benefits because they're too low. And another cut by £20 is a real concern, and that's something I'm really worried about. We can't afford food or water, people have bills to pay. It's a huge struggle for people. I wanted to just explain about the Commission, and it was set up in 2019. And we have people that have experience, and we've collected their experiences, and we run by 5 principles. Number 1 is everyone should have enough money to be able to live and to manage the extra costs associated with disability. Number 2 is everyone should be treated equally with dignity and respect and trust. People should be able to be trusted. Number 3 is public have the rights. And number 4 is it should be a clear, accessible and friendly service and run by people that have experience of the issues, who understand those issues. Number 5, there should be free advice and support included, making sure that people have access to that support and that they should be able to speak up and be heard. Now we're asking for people, we had 1,000 responses from people about their experiences. And we wanted to make sure we collected that evidence and found out what was important, and so that we could create the right principles. Also, we wanted to make sure that we analysed that information to try to make a new system. And now we're looking for people to make sure that the final draft for our ideas is clear. So please have a look. It's on the social security system, www.commissionforsocialsecurity.org. Thank you. Thank you very much for watching me. Thank you.
Thanks, Latoya. That was great. We're now going to hear from Michael Pugh, who is going to talk about the New Economics Foundation's Living Income Coalition, which DPAC is part of and very pleased to support.
Thanks, Ellen. Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me. My name's Michael, and I'm the head of campaigns and organising at the New Economics Foundation. A big thanks to Ellen and for everyone to inviting me along this evening. Certainly at such short notice, it's great to see so many people here and tuning in. My mum is disabled, and despite being eligible, doesn't get the support that she needs from the system. So this is really personal to me. These are tough times with what's going on, but it's reassuring that there's so many people together tonight, albeit virtually, planning actions to scale the seriousness of what's coming, but also with a healthy mix of anger, but also sense of humour. It's great listening, laughing along to Rita and Piffle. We're all aware, I think, of the devastating nature of the cuts coming and the impact that it will have. NEF fully backs the efforts of the Keep the Lifeline campaign and the actions that you're taking over the course of the next few weeks. And we've been part of the kind of coalition of organisations against the government on this. But NEF are also aware that ultimately we can't keep fighting pitch battles over universal credit, however important they are in the moment. We also need to be talking about the long-term reform to the social security system. Just like Latoya has said, we need fundamental reform, and there's already great work being done to explore what that could and should look like. But hidden beneath the kind of wreckage of the cut to the £20 uplift, there is some hope. Through the last 6 months, there has been a growing media and public consensus that the social security system is inadequate. It feels as though we've almost won the argument, but are perhaps going to lose the political vote in Parliament, but winning the argument. We've also seen in some quarters of the Tory party even admit that. And the pandemic has fundamentally changed how millions of people see and interact with the social security system. And that's perhaps the first time in over a decade where we might be able to have a chance to fight for a vision of what we really want looking forward, rather than just feeling like we're on the back foot fighting against the cuts. So for NEF, we're calling that vision a living income, overhaul of the system that would create a minimum income floor that no one could fall below, but also the systems where everybody's needs are met. We're setting that vision, but we're working with partners to make it a reality, specifically working with DPAC and others to explore how disability benefits should fit into a living income, building on lots of the work that Latoya mentioned, so that disability is built in from the very beginning in terms of design. And to see that vision, we must look beyond 20. I know we're going to be very active over the next few weeks, but we've got to look beyond 20, beyond the £20 uplift, but also into the 2020s in terms of the decade ahead. And we're working with coalition partners to help shape the next phase of the debate. So whether we win, lose, or draw on the £20 uplift, you can be part of that vision and fight as we move forward as well. So perhaps if you're part of an organisation, whether it's DPAC or another one, you'll be more than welcome to kind of get involved and join the coalition, or perhaps you'd like to just find out more. So there's two ways of doing that. You can check out our website, which I'm about to put in the chat box, and I'm sure we can get the website to people if you're tuning in as well. And you can also just contact me at NEF on my email, which again I'll put into the chat box, and make sure you'll get a chance to see that if you're tuning in. So again, massive thanks for having me this evening at short notice this Friday. It's great to spend some time with you all, and hopefully be able to do so in person soon. So thanks for having me, Ellen.
Thanks, Michael. That's great. And I know I totally understand why a lot of people are feeling so downhearted at the moment. We've all been through some really difficult times recently, more than we could ever have imagined at the start of austerity, and then we had the pandemic. But having allies who are really taking disabled people's depression seriously is really important, and shows an actual advance on the position that we had before 2010. So NEF is one example, but another example is the World Transformed Festival. And so we're now going to hear from Martha Folds, who's DPAC's Woman on the Ground at TWT 2021 in Brighton. Martha.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. My name is Martha Folds, and I'm a DPAC activist and trade unionist based in Sheffield. Along with other deaf and disabled people from our movement, we've worked with the World Transformed to help them improve the access at their festival. And for those that don't know, the World Transformed is a political education project that emerged out of the movement around Jeremy Corbyn's leadership of the Labour Party. The first festival took place in 2016 as an attempt to revitalise the left's presence at the Labour Party conference, to bridge the gap between the parliamentary and social movement left, and develop a space for radical, participatory and creative political education. This year's festival starts tomorrow and runs until Tuesday, 28th of September. And there's a wide range of events, including panels, rallies, training, and I hear there's a very good woman called Martha from DPAC who's speaking at a few of them. We've helped arrange online and hybrid events, venues with step-free access, British Sign Language interpreters, hearing loops, free tickets for assistance, and processors for avoiding lengthy queues. You'll find DPAC represented at several events. Ellen Morrison and I will be talking with Lynn Siegel and Joe Littler about building a politics of care post-COVID. We'll be covering accessing social care and why we need a national independent living support system. If you're interested, this will take place on Monday at 3 p.m. until 4:30 p.m. at the Friends Meeting House. As Ellen mentioned, while we're in Brighton, we're holding a demo against the cuts to universal credit and calling for the £20 a week uplift to apply to all claimants. Again, if you're interested, this will take place on Tuesday at 11 a.m. at the Old Stein Gardens. You can find out more information, including info about ticketing and the access guide, at theworldtransformed.org or on Twitter at TWT_now. Maybe I'll see you there. Thanks for having me. I'm afraid I'm not as interesting as Rita and Piffle, but thank you for listening.
Hi, Martha. Yeah, maybe not such a character, but very, very useful to have involved in our activism. So thank you. So I am now, I think it is now message from John McDonnell before we have Roger Lewis to close. So John McDonnell is one of DPAC's earliest members, and he sent us this message of solidarity.
Hi, it's John McDonnell. I'm sending my 100% support to DPAC in their renewed campaigning activity, the Audio Riot Initiative, and all the other direct action that will be taking place in the coming period. Why are DPAC out there campaigning? Well, because for the last 11 years of austerity, disabled people have been targeted by this Tory government, targeted for cuts in benefits, harassed over their disabilities, and yes, forced some of them into real poverty, but also into destitution. That's why DPAC have had the courage to stand up and fight back, and they have my 100% support Disabled People Against the Cuts has been one of those organisations that has inspired so many others to stand up and say, we're not taking this anymore, and to fight back. So yeah, the immediate demands is to halt the cut in universal credit. But we want to scrap universal credit altogether and bring in a proper level of financial support so people can have a decent quality of life and not be threatened by poverty, destitution and the hardship that many disabled people now face. So DPAC, you have my support. I'm with you. Solidarity.
That support is really great from John, as it is from all of our allies. We're very proud to be working with and have support for our week of action from People Before Profit, the People's Assembly, Unite Community, Homes for All, and the Disability Benefits Consortium, among others. So to finish this evening, I am now going to hand over to Roger Lewis to summarise the evening and build us up for the week ahead. So thank you to everyone who has watched this and to everyone who's involved. DPAC is all about the collective and so many different individual contributions that make up the beautiful whole that we are. Okay, Roger.
Thank you, Ellen, and thanks to everyone who's participating in today's event. It's wonderful to be back among so many friends taking part in this online event, but also, of course, most importantly, every one of you that's participating by coming online to take part on Facebook, on Zoom, and Twitter, and social media. The message is here, isn't it? We're back on the streets, and that's where we want to start with, and so many people have talked about this during the event this evening. Ellen opened this evening saying we need a cushion against falling into despair and despondency, and people have said, and we've got every reason to despair and every reason to be despondent with what's happened, as we've heard comrades talking about this evening, the 10 years of austerity that we had from 2010. And then, of course, COVID coming in at the beginning of this year. We need the antidote to that. And if there's one thing the DPAC and disabled people have shown we do, and we do extremely well, it's fight back. And that's what we're going to do. So we start from today again. And it's not back on the streets, it's back on the streets and back on social media and back in every opportunity we can to get up the noses of this rotten Tory government. From Ian Duncan Smith to Rishi Sunak, we've destroyed people's reputations by what we've done in the past. But the battles have not ended and they don't go away. So we need to redouble our effort. And as people have spoken about this evening, we're focusing in this next week on universal credit, quite rightly. And also to stop the cut to the £20 uplift, but also extend that permanently to people on legacy benefits as well. And it's not a fight that's just right, it's a fight we can win. We know how much support we have out there in the communities, out on the streets. And we know once we're out there and we're gathering that support, we get it. What we haven't seen, unfortunately, over the last decade is a serious fight back by the big trade unions. But we do know the amount of support we have from trade unionists in the grassroots, in the workplace, and also in groups like Unite Community. And that's where we can get our support outside our own ranks. Marsha at the beginning talked about thousands of people support us. We know that's true, but we know it's tens of thousands. And we know it grows. For every time there's an attack on disabled people, support for us builds. And we can go out there and build that more. And it starts with what we've done every time, a week of activity, a week of putting it into the press, putting it into the media, getting ourselves on the agenda and showing that we can fight back. And the government doesn't have it all its own way. We've seen even during COVID and over the period over the last 18 months, we've seen the protests when they're out on the streets matter. And they are not just possible, but they're popular. Black Lives Matter, of course. huge protests around the country around all of those issues, and DPAC has supported that throughout. And of course, now with the actions being done by Extinction Rebellion, all of these are issues for us as disabled people. And the one thing we know is we've got a government, there's one objective, which is to divide us, because it's got no answers to the financial crisis, it's got no answers to the economy, and the only way that it can continue to rule without people fighting back is to divide us. And that's where DPAC has got a fantastic tradition, second to none, that we've always stood by and supported other groups of workers fighting back. And we know there's many of those that are doing it now, and it's just listed a few. And I'll mention one that's coming up at the moment. We're doing work alongside housing. We have done for many years as terms of DPAC because of the issues that it relates to for us as disabled people. And on October the 9th, Saturday, October the 9th, there's a day of action over empty homes. This is being supported by the National and Empty Homes campaign, but also by groups like Homes for All and Axe the Housing Act. We need to make sure with 650,000 empty homes around the country that those are made available to the people who need them. And that includes making those homes accessible homes and homes for all. And we will work together with those groups. They're currently involved in promoting our activity, our week of action. Starting from today, they'll be pumping out to their campaigns and groups, and we can be supporting them. And that's how we'll build. That's how we'll build from what happens, and it starts today and goes on during next week. We wish everyone the best of luck at the court case on the 28th. And that'll be a fantastic victory if we can push the government back. Again, as Marsha, I think it was, said, we pushed the government back. We won legal battles where we've fought in many occasions. But we know that's not where the real victories are. The real victory is out on the streets, and it's building a movement that can join with other movements. Because big as we are, we're not big enough to topple this government on our own. But the possibility starts with those who fight back at the beginning, and that's where we are. That's what we are determined to go ahead and do. And we'll build that movement, and we'll be a central part of it throughout. And that's the message I'd like to leave everyone with today. Let's go ahead and enjoy the next week of action and start the fight back. Ellen, comrades, thank you very much.
Thank you, Roger. So finally, Roger having closed for us, we're going to ignore Piffle and read her a few bars of that song, and then thank you everybody and good night.
Thank you so much, everybody, and we'll keep this short. I just had to nip to the local shops. Our Dave gets ever so whingy if he doesn't have a decent tea bag in his evening cuppa. So this song is on the DPAC YouTube page, and you can blast it out on your actions tomorrow and on the 28th. Here's a special a cappella version. They tried to make me go to ATOS, and I said no, no, no. Feeling so sad, assessments are bad, I won't go, go, go. Depression makes me cry, under these envelopes I die. They try to make me go to ATOS, I won't go, go, go.